What's up, everybody? Back at you with another episode of Blood on the Razor Wire TV, where we bring it to you real and we bring it to you raw. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, share the video. Today we're going to do a little more of the book reading. Some people have been requesting that. They're like, hey, read some more. Initially, I know this was supposed to be meant for the members only, but don't trip. We're putting something together for the members only. Should be getting that going. Hopefully have this cooking video out this week. Show you guys how we really do it in the feds. Got a couple good interviews coming up. So we're pushing forward. You might have missed me in the last day or two, but your boy's back. Let's get to the book, Blood on the Razor Wire. If you haven't grabbed a copy, grab one. You can get one directly from us autographed by hitting us up on that email, freedomfighterspc101@gmail.com, or you can grab it on Amazon. It's up to you. So I think we're going to read chapters 14, 15, maybe 16. And then we'll be back in action here soon. Chapter 14. The morning is new with the sun shining bright. I tuck my commissary items away and put my radio in my pocket. I contemplate going outside. Perhaps I should stay inside. Part of me wants to stay inside to keep watch over my locker. The other part of me wants to go to the yard to taste the fresh air. Fresh air is a small thing to most, but I look forward to it. The stale air contaminated with cigarette smoke and the dirty smell of sweat pushes me towards the hallway. I convince myself that my commissary will still be in my locker when I return, but I have no idea if it really will be. I am unsure if people are stealing here. Outside, I have to pass through a metal detector. The detector is not plugged in. The correctional officer assigned to man the machine and ensure no inmates take bone crushers or steal. To the yard is oblivious to the fact that there is no power. He's more concerned with the conversation he is engaged in with a petite nurse. The conversation might be his way of avoiding a confrontation with any convicts transporting weapons to the yard. One man after another passes through the detector without a single beat. How many men have weapons on them is anyone's guess. The handball court seems to be calling me. Whenever I was younger, I spent some of my summers playing the game on the back wall of my middle school. Two Mexican guys I came on the bus with are playing one-on-one. Both are Serranos, or Southsiders, as they are sometimes called. They are soldiers for the Mexican Mafia. Both the Serranos and the Mexican Mafia are highly respected by the staff and convicts alike. They are known behind these walls, as well as outside of them, as being a serious gang that has no qualms about using serious violence to meet whatever objectives their gang has. The Mexican Mafia was first formed in the 1950s with a group of 13 Mexican inmates at a prison in California. Those 13 men banded together to protect one another from other prisoners at the facility. In an attempt to squash the newly formed gang, prison authorities began sending the original members to other prisons. Rather than squashing the gang, what authorities did allowed the founders of the gang to recruit new members at other prisons, strengthening the gang. Once members were released from prison, the gang flourished in the free world, gaining even more strength and a stronger reputation. All Serranos aspire to become Mexican Mafia members someday, at least that's what I think, so they can get a black hand tattooed on their chest with an M in the middle. Such a tattoo is a badge of honor, and with it comes power and prestige in the criminal world. When it comes to Mexican gangs, the Mexican Mafia is at the top of the food chain. A 1992 movie titled American Me focused on the formation of the Mexican Mafia, or the La M, as it's also known. Another movie, Blood In, Blood Out, was loosely based on the gang's architects, one of whom was Paglag Morgan, a white man who adopted the Mexican way of life. Not happy about the organization being put on display, the Mexican Mafia had two of the consultants on the American Me movie killed. Charles Charlie Brown Marquez and Ana Lizarraga were both shot to death. No one is off limits when the gang feels disrespected. No one. Sad Boy and Droopy invite me to play. Had I been black, they would have never made the invite. The Serranos have a strict code in here. They stay away from doing business or associating with blacks as much as they can. Almost everyone in prison has a name other than their real name. Sad Boy does not look sad, yet this is what people call him. Droopy, on the other hand, has a droopy kind of look. There are many characters in here, from half dead to droopy, people from all over the country now confined in this desolate place. Playing handball takes me out of prison. It is another activity in here that puts me in a pleasant place from my past. For the moment, I am on the back wall of my middle school with two friends. Droopy becomes Freddy. Sad Boy is Andy. I trick myself. When I do this, I'm able to leave prison. Leaving takes away the pain of my reality. Today is not today, at least not right now. Adam is standing off to the side of the court. I hadn't noticed him until now. When the ball goes out of play, he tells me he needs to talk to me after the game. For some reason, him wanting to talk to me angers me. Maybe it's because talking to him pulls me from middle school back into prison. After the game, I shake hands with the Serenos, thank them for inviting me to play, and walk toward Adam. Adam extends his hand to shake mine. What's up, Chad? Nothing much. What's up with you? Oh, man, just out here strolling. Noticed you playing handball with the Mexicans. It's all right, bro, to play handball with the Mexicans, but you should try to find some white dudes to play with. Some guy's in the car. He says this looking into the distance behind his sunglasses. I'm not really on that racist shit, I respond. Nah, man, me either, bro. It's just a better policy. Sometimes sports can get heated, competitive at times, and can lead to problems. One problem with another race could cause us all problems. I nod in agreement, but my anger builds. He continues, I ain't trying to do your time, bro. Just trying to help you. Just a better policy to do things with your own. You're new to prison, Chad, and there are a lot of things you're going to learn. Most of them you won't like, but some of these policies might save your life. Those Mexicans would kill you without a second thought, trust me. To a certain extent, Adam might be right, but being from New York, I had friends that were black, white, and Hispanic. New York is filled with people of different cultures, races, and languages. My best friend and co-defendant was of mixed race, Mexican and Irish. Now my way of thinking has to change. Prison or Big Sandy is a brand new beast, one I am familiar with. This prison shit is crazy, I say. I don't make the prison rules or politics, I just follow them, Chad. It's better for all of us that way. It's all good, I agree. Adam and I shake hands, parting ways. Once back at the county cottage, as I have been referring to my cell, given all of Mr. Young's knickknacks that adorn our housing area, I open my locker. My commissary items are still there. Mr. Young's angry look prompts me to initiate a conversation. What's up, Mr. Young, I ask. You just ain't going to listen, are you, boy, he snarls. I seen you out there with them guys again. What guys? Oh, don't play stupid with me, young man. What the hell do you mean, I ask. You was out there hanging out with that old long-haired fella. What the hell's his name, Adam? Yeah, and he ain't nothing but trouble. I was playing handball and he wanted to talk to me. I tried to explain, but it's useless. I'm going to tell you I told you so when something bad happens with you. And if you're in the hole and I don't get to see you, you just remember that old man, Mr. Young, told you. There is an overwhelming feeling that floods my inner self, telling me that the old man is probably going to be correct with his advice. Mr. Young's scolding makes me feel like a kid. He has been here a lot longer than me, and I'm sure he knows more than me. Mr. Young is wise in both years and prison experience. Feeling like I still have to explain myself, I respond. Mr. Young, I'm just trying to be cool with everyone. I ain't trying to offend no one. Well, for your sake, hopefully you won't be cooling off in the morgue with a toe tag on for messing with those scumbags, he says, raising his voice a little. Hopefully not. Yeah, what would your mother say if she got that phone call, he asks. Look, you're an old man, and I'm not going to argue with you or talk to you about this bullshit. Think about your mama before you make a bad choice, he hollers out to me as I walk out of the cell. I don't know if I'm mad at Mr. Young or at myself for making foolish decisions. The toe tag comment, coupled with the phone call to my mother's statement, have my insides in an uproar. Standing against the wall, I pretend to watch television while envisioning more. There I am, looking at myself on a cold slab of stainless steel with a toe tag and stab wounds. My mother crying with a phone to her ear. The thought of dying in this place is real. My mother getting the call hurts me more than the dying part. If it were not for my mother, maybe the dying part might be better than serving a 40-year sentence. Avoiding Mr. Young for the rest of the day is easy, but I cannot escape being locked in the cell at night with him. Once the door's locked, he begins. Chad, I don't mean to be hard on you, and this is prison. I ain't supposed to be in no one's business, but you being young and new to prison, I'm trying to help you. Now I understand. There's no reason for me to argue with you, Mr. Young, or to make excuses. I know he is right about everything he told me. I'm telling you, this is prison. It's not like any other prison you have ever seen, Chad. As I lay in my bed listening to Mr. Young, I find it hard to believe that my life has been reduced to living in a locked concrete bunker with another man, 3 times my age, and a toilet, wondering if my mother might get that call. Living the street life comes with consequences. This is chapter 5. Living the street life comes with consequences. For me, those consequences came with a severe sentence and my placement in a prison where my life could be taken at any moment. Feeling the need to be alone with my thoughts, I opt for the yard this morning. Mornings are the one time where there is peace here at Big Sandy, as most of the convicts are required to be at their jobs. Being new, no job assignment has been made for me, and with a 40-year prison term, a job is the last thing I want. Guys in here work 8-hour days, 5 days a week for about $20 a month on average. For some convicts, jobs pass the day. I would rather pass my day playing handball or walking the track. My hope is that today will be better than yesterday. Some of my uneasy tension has become a bit suppressed with the realization that this is my life. Every morsel of Big Sandy is a part of my life now. From the violence to the razor wire, it is all part of me. I earned it, according to my sentencing judge. 40 years in Big Sandy was sufficient for my nonviolent drug conviction. Some days I feel like I don't give a fuck about anything. It is usually the days when I replay my sentencing day. The day when my mother disappeared and left me wondering if I would ever see her again. Reality it is, I have to be here. Making the best of it is the only option. There are more people on the yard today than usual. My peaceful walk alone with my thoughts fade quickly, as I easily recognize that there is tension on the yard. The tension is so thick you can cut through it with a knife. Already, my prison instincts are coming to fruition. One of the most important tools I have learned within the first few days of being here is that I must be observant. Being able to recognize everything going on around me is one key to surviving in this hellhole. Scanning the yard like a hawk soaring over an open field, looking for prey, I notice Mexican prisoners forming small groups around the yard. This world I now live in is a dog-eat-dog world, filled with lions and hyenas, with very few zebras. Deep discussions are being had between the shot caller for the Serranos and some of his soldiers. My secret hope is that whatever problem is afoot has nothing to do with whites and Mexicans. There are about 20 white convicts on the yard, including me, compared to at least 75 Mexicans. We would get slaughtered. Thinking back to what Adam told me about the Serranos, I know every one of them is likely armed with a shank. This thought convinces me that as much as I might not want a knife, it may very well be time to get one, and I keep it on me at all times. Being here in Big Sandy, I know now that I would rather get caught with it than not with it. As the thought filters through my subconscious, I find out the problem with the Serranos has nothing to do with the whites when a large Mexican soldier grabs one of his comrades from behind in a chokehold. The victim is another Serrano named Noki. He also lives in the same unit I am housed in. More Serranos circle Noki. They deliver punches to his head, face, and body. Before long, he is rendered unconscious. The large Mexican lets Noki's limp body fall aimlessly to the ground. Other people join the fray, dishing out powerful kicks to Noki's head and body. One of the kicks wakes Noki from his comatose state. Using the nearby fence, his fingers lock onto the shiny metal fence as he pulls his body up. Finding his feet, he stumbles on a large push broom. Fighting for his life, he begins to swing the broom like Barry Bonds on steroids, chasing the home run record. "Come on, puto," Noki screams like a wild animal as the warm blood runs down his face. One of the soldiers rushes in, swinging wildly. Noki's swing connects perfectly with the side of the combatant's head. Watching the first guy fall sends Noki into a raging fury. He backs up to the fence, yelling profanities in Spanish. His swinging intensifies in barbaric nature. 4 men rush at him at the same time. The broom connects with the side of one of the attackers. This slows Noki down. The others pounce on him like mountain lions on a fawn. The alarm finally goes off, ordering everyone to the ground. Most of the prisoners comply, but not the combatants. Once again, Noki is on the ground. The broom is now being used on him. Both Spanish and English are blaring out of the speaker, ordering all the prisoners to the ground when the first gunshot rings out, warning the soldiers that live rounds will be coming if the brutal assault does not cease. Bang! Bang! I feel an explosion. Officers circle the Serranos. Small black balls sail through the air, hitting everyone in the vicinity. One man screams. I look up, shielding my eyes. I think he is shot. But no. Concussion grenades are being deployed to break up the melee. Another one explodes and I cover my head with my arms. Warning shots ring out again from the guard towers. Officers enter the gladiator pit, tackling the men to the ground with no remorse. I envision some old clips of the 1970s Pittsburgh Steelers defense. One man is picked up and body slammed. Another grenade comes flying down from the guard tower. It explodes in the air, sending little black balls everywhere. They are ricocheting off the ground, off the handball walls, flying everywhere with no intended target. Whoever gets hit, gets hit. The balls do not discriminate. The guard tower stands over 30 feet high. Sharpshooters are stationed in each of the 7 towers. I cover my head with my arms. I'm face down on the ground. My only hope is that I'm not hit by a live round if those start flying. With staff in the area, I'm probably safe though. Usually when correctional officers are in the area, the cops in the gun towers refrain from letting real bullets fly. I am thankful that staff has arrived and that with their arrival, my chances of being accidentally shot have diminished. Had staff not arrived when they did, there was no doubt in my mind that someone would have been shot. These combatants had an order from the shot caller to complete a mission, assaulting Noki until he died or until the cops arrived to stop them. The attackers had no intention of stopping. Even the gunshots did not deter them. The threat of possible death meant nothing. In the real world, the thought of getting shot or killed would be a deterrent. In here, the real world has long been forgotten by these men. When you are in a place like this with a sentence of forever, death becomes a welcoming thought. Once everything is lost, there is nothing left to live for. There is no fear of death. A man with a life sentence has been through so many ups and downs on that long criminal justice roller coaster that no emotions remain. With sentences ranging from 30 years to life, there is nothing left that can be done to hurt the man who has been stripped of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That man sees death the same way a Muslim martyr does. The hope is that there will be something better on the other side of the rainbow, because this side has nothing but suffering, pain, and loneliness. Fuck rainbows. I don't like them no more. Many people like me are serving draconian sentences for nonviolent drug offenses. What is mind-boggling to me is that while these 40-year sentences for nonviolent drug crimes are being handed out, the average sentence in federal court for murder is 22 years. Had I killed someone, I would likely have been sentenced to 18 less years. The federal criminal justice system no longer has a parole system. When that door slams behind every prisoner with a crucial sentence, there are only two ways out of here: winning relief in court or a body bag. Sadly, most people will leave here in a body bag. With my sentence, if I behave, I will get about 5 years off my term. Instead of getting out at 64 years old, I can get out at 59. That truth disturbs me. With no incentive to do the right thing, many of the men around me become vultures, living a barbaric life, riddled with anger and violence on an astronomical level. Behaving yourself in prison is almost impossible because other prisoners' actions dictate your reactions. Those reactions might require a person to stab the other person. Sometimes those reactions don't leave a person any choice. The prison machine is designed in such a way that it applies oppression. It's designed so the prisoner never wins. It's designed so the prisoner always loses. Like with Noki, he was fighting for his life. Had he simply not fought back, he certainly would have died. Once he fought back, he earned a write-up for fighting. There is no such thing as self-defense in prison. Once a prisoner starts swinging, he loses 27 good conduct days on average. When Noki gets back from the hospital, he will be taken in front of a disciplinary hearing officer. That's his reward for fighting for his life. He will now have to spend 27 more days in prison, where any one of those days could be his last. His gang will no longer want him after the brawl. Noki is a marked man. A man marked by one of the most vicious prison gangs in the system, the Serenos. Noki's provocation was a common one. He owed the Crips for heroin. Owing money to the blacks is not allowed by the big homie, the man who calls the shots for the gang. Noki has 2 yard violations. He's dealing with the blacks and he couldn't pay his debt. In order to avoid a physical conflict with the Crips, the beating was on full public display. Hands laid, debt paid. There's a common theme in here. The debt was paid with Noki's blood, kind of like Christ paying the debt of sin on the cross. In Big Sandy, the sinners keep sinning. Noki, like many before him and many who will come after him, allowed his heroin addiction to get out of control. His tab kept riding higher with his need to get high. Knowing he could not pay never dissuaded him. The thought of getting hurt or killed did not override his hunger to let the fish swim through his veins. The heroin told him, "Follow me, everything is all right." Kind of like that Uncle Cracker song, "Follow Me." When the Crips had enough of the false promises of payment being made, they went to Noki's shot caller. They knew that the only payment they would see would be blood, and they likely enjoyed that prospect. When assaults like the one on Noki happen, it is akin to the spectators at the old Roman gladiator pits, cheering for the victim to be finished. Most of the men here enjoying seeing a good, violent scuffle. Although they secretly pray, they are never on the receiving end. Had the Crips taken it upon themselves to assault Noki, the whole yard would have erupted like a festering volcano. It would have created a full-fledged war between the Hispanics and the blacks. Such a war would have reached every other maximum security prison in the federal system that houses Sureños and Crips. The easiest way to settle the dispute was to punish Noki by vicious means. His death or his transfer to another facility after his physical discipline evened the score. Dealing with the blacks, owing a debt to them, ensured he was ostracized from his gang. For the rest of his time in prison, he is a marked man. Another unwritten rule in here is that you never stop beating or stabbing another prisoner until either staff intervenes or you kill the person. This is how every car, group, or gang operates. One thing that I am intrigued by is why Noki's brothers allowed him to get so far in debt, knowing the end result was going to be an attack like this. My guess is the people who knew were getting high with him. The others had no money to pay for the heroin, but Noki had both the balls to deal with the blacks and enough swagger to convince the Crips that he had money, at least initially. The cycle of prison life is vicious, like a pack of hungry wolves in Yellowstone National Park, searching for vulnerable prey. 2 hours of laying on the hard concrete causes pain to creep into the muscles of my legs. Some of the men are laying on their backs enjoying the warm summer sun. Others are talking amongst themselves. I too have changed my position to ease my discomfort. On my back now, I stare into the deep blue sky, tricking myself into believing that I can see Jesus Christ's face in the clouds. For a second, I whisper a plea for freedom to him. I blink my eyes a few times, and he's still there in the clouds. It's almost as if he is smirking at my request. I snicker at the absurdity of it, that I think I see him. Or maybe my snicker is because of the absurdity of him granting me freedom from here. Hell, he could have intervened a long time ago and put it in one of the jurors' hearts to vote to acquit me. He could have put it in all their hearts. Instead, he decided to send me to Big Sandy with a 40-year sentence so he could sit in the clouds laughing at me. Whether he is really there in the clouds or not, I throw a middle finger to the laughing cloud. Fuck you, I mouth silently. This ain't funny. Before I can say anything more, officers are ushering us up to our feet. Brushing the dirt off the front of my pants, I scan the yard. The other men are grateful that they can finally stretch their legs out. As we head back to the housing units, I look back one last time before I walk through the doorway. He is there, in the clouds, again, laughing at me. I could go on to chapter 16, but I think we're going to save it. I think that, ending the book like that with that chapter is important. You felt like God was looking at you. Sometimes when you're in a place of despair where there's no hope, you feel like everything has failed you. And sometimes you feel like God failed you. But really, man, like that brother said a couple weeks ago on that video, we fail ourselves. So many times we fail ourselves, but you know what? It's human nature. Sometimes when you fail, you have to get back up. Same way I got up off that floor, I had to dust myself off. I had to keep moving forward. To give up in there is to die. That's just the truth, man. And talk about the Sureños in there. Like I said before, I was friends with a lot of them dudes, man. To me, 90% of them dudes were good dudes, man. Like I like them dudes, man. And I said before, they don't play no games. They get busy. And I was in a prison with hundreds of them. Literally hundreds of Sureños. And throughout my bid, I ran into them dudes. I played soccer with them dudes. I had good times with them cats, man. But prison is a place that is filled, as I've said before, with despair, man, loneliness. Sometimes, man, when I first got there, I remember walking outside and I was like, damn, man. You look around and you feel the air hit you. And like I always say, man, air on this side tastes a whole lot different than the air on that side. And there's meaning in that. It's not just something that I'm saying, there's meaning in that. That freedom air is so much different, man. The freedom when, you can go to work every day, or you can jump in your car and go out for a drive, or you can go in your refrigerator and grab something to eat whenever you're hungry. In Big Sandy, you might be on a 30-day lockdown. You run out of food on the 23rd day. You have no more food in your locker. All your commissary's gone. And they're putting bagged lunches through that door. Brothers that been in prison, brothers that served time, that been on lockdowns. Some of the people will chime in here. Mouse will probably chime in. He's been in Big Sandy. We were there at the same time. Do you know what it's like to eat a bologna and cheese sandwich every day? Yeah, they used to give out hot meals, then they stopped doing that shit because no one really cares. Every 3 days you get a supposedly hot meal. Might be some beans and 2 hot dogs. and a scoop of rice. It's cold as hell, but that's your hot meal. In the morning, you get these bags with some powdered milk, that little ass plastic cereal, and an apple. That's what sucks about being in prison. Those are the things that really make you like, damn, man, I don't ever want to be back in that position ever again. Those are the things that should make you say, hell no, man, I ain't doing this again. Some of you dudes are watching this video that have been in prison. Right now, man, when I'm talking about this, are you saying, damn, man, I don't want to be there? And then let's talk about Mr. Young. Let's talk about the realities of prison when, I go in there with this old country dude and he used to talk, he had that little country accent. He said, boy, you ain't going to listen to me. I'll tell you what's going to happen to you. And when he talked to me like that, it was kind of like my grandfather. It was like my grandfather was talking to me. Like it was my actual grandfather. Old man, like, hey, look, man, don't do this. But the things that he didn't understand, he was wise in many ways. But he didn't understand how prison politics worked. A lot of the white dudes would look out for the older white dudes in the unit. To the extent where they weren't going to let nothing happen to them. They didn't hang out with them. They didn't really kick it with them like, hey, what's up, Mr. Young? But if something happened, they would help Mr. Young. So he didn't understand the other part of the prison politics. When you come in and you're a young dude, you're going to be in a car, man. You call it what you want. Call it a gang, call it a car. You're going to be in a car. Trust me. And to a certain extent, man, you want to be in a car because there is power in numbers. You might be the baddest dude on the planet. You could probably whoop everybody on this yard one-on-one. But what about when there's 4 or 5 dudes jumping on you from another car, another group? You can't whoop them all, man. So having that unity, it makes you, it strengthens you. But let me tell you what else. Let me tell you what else it does, man. Sometimes you're so alone, man, when you're in prison. These dudes become your brothers, man. These dudes become your family. These are your people, man. These are people that you eat with, people that you get close with, people that you kick it with, man. You get to know them. You get to know about their families or their son or their daughter and their mother. You see their pictures. And sometimes, man, you learn their pain. And other times you feel their pain. Because the pain that you feel at that very moment is the same pain that they feel. When you wake up on Christmas morning and, something as little as, let's say, the Macy's New York City Parade, man. When that Christmas parade comes on in the morning, what is that, Thanksgiving? Another dude might have watched that when he was a kid. I remember watching that when I was a kid. And both of you, even though you don't say nothing, you can both relate at that moment. Because it takes you back, man. It takes you back to the good times, man. When you smelled the food cooking in the kitchen, your mom is there. She might be making you a little tiny pie for the morning for breakfast, or making some French toast and some bacon, sausage. And it takes you back to that moment, man. That's what it does. It takes you right back to that moment of time. Think about it, man. Blood on the Razor Wire TV, with respect, until tomorrow, we're out.